Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to From the Depths. Now, first of all, again, and I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, but I wanted to thank you guys for your input. I'm getting so much input per episode in the comment section, and I'm really grateful for everything that you guys are suggesting. It does come with one caveat, and that's that I cannot for the life of me implement everything in one episode. That doesn't mean that I'm ignoring your suggestion, as somebody thought that I was doing. I'm not ignoring suggestions at all. It's just I can only do so much. And there is so much that you guys are suggesting that I just cannot keep up. Now, before we get into the meat and greet, or well, into the meat and bones of what I want to do this episode, I wanted to show you what I have been doing to the ship. This is my new turret. Look at that, it even has a casemate. Yes, I am trying to trying to get better. This used to be the Seawiz flak turret, if you will. It is now a flak turret of a slightly different design. It fires 60mm shells, which fly out to a range of 2,800 meters. And let me show you the shell. It still has the flak warheads, but it also has a timed fuse, and it ends with a flak head. Now, I know that you need a laser in order to use that timed fuse, so I have a laser targeter on top of it, and I even have a coincidence rangefinder behind it. Unfortunately, the AI still needs to get upgraded, because currently my mainframe is not strong enough. So, before I forget, let's just get into that. Where did I put my AI down? Here. Okay, so we're going to have to add the AI... oh, hold on, I need to be at the actual hull. Back to the bow. Where was it again? Here? No, that's the stern of the ship. I'll look into the turret in a second. I just want to make sure I don't forget to upgrade this mainframe, because that would be a bit of a waste. Just getting rid of all of that detection shit. Okay, fine. Builds. And then go back here. Alright, we need a few general processing cards, and that should make the mainframe much happier. Now, back to the turret. The way that I have the turret set up is, and I'm hoping that this is something that you guys can agree with, it is a system where I have the AI local weapon controller underneath a 3x3 turret. This is the only way that I could figure to ensure that I can still build more or less underneath the turret, and I still have a whole host of stuff that I can add to the bottom here. As for the APS specs, for those of you interested, it fires using an ammo input system of belt-fed autoloaders, and it uses a lot of those. That is to make sure that I can get up to a rate of fire of 843, but it's limited by the cooling rate, which is 702 rounds a minute rate of fire, and I've set the APS to fire those 60mm shells at a rate of 700 rounds a minute. Now that means that this turret, I just need a volunteer. Are any volunteers? Any takers? There was a Falkenheim nearby. Yeah, see, the 40mm still knows where... There it is. Unfortunately, it seems to be out of range. But these shells travel at 700 meters per second for about 4 seconds, and then they run out of steam real quick, and they just drop out of the sky. So, 2,800 meters, and I can fire at a fairly respectable rate of fire up until the point where I run out of ammo. I have 858 shells on this particular cannon, which I think is going to go one of two ways. Either I kill it and I use my shells, or I have to be running away from it, in which case the weapon might not even be in range. Anyway, that's one thing. The other thing that I wanted to get done in this episode, which was suggested, is to adjust this turret. Because in my limited wisdom, I have now opted to use both of these barrels with different types of ammunition. So I'm going to ensure that they all use the same ammo, because I was warned that there might be some problems with the type of, well, with, let's say with two different types of shells that you run into trouble with accuracy, because one shell behaves different than the other. So I'm going to set them all to the shaped charge, and that's the heat warhead, and that should make these things fairly effective against, well, anything. And I think that the other turret, the one that I just designed, I spent quite a while on this, is already quite a bit better than the old one. Right, what else did I want to do? With the torpedo system, I have quite a bit of internal room that I'm not using properly. And I can ensure that those torpedoes get used a bit more efficiently. So I have some free internal space and it's being used for fuel. And that means that this lifetime is higher than the thrust duration. And I believe that the torp propellant, is already at max. So the one turn is causing for me to get free internal space. I'm going to use that to get some high explosive damage, which means that my high explosive damage jumps from 15 to 19. Or, and this is what I want to do, I want to do EMP damage. So I'm going to do both high explosive and EMP, and hoping to fry a little bit of their AI. Now that means that currently these guys are really not living up to the lifetime that they can have. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing, because this means that for 15 seconds I'm going to be traveling, let's say, about 51 meters per second. If my math holds up, that's 750 meters total. It's not great. If I bring it back to this, we're going to have a range of a kilometer, I think. Thrust duration, 31 seconds, times 36 meters per second. And that's the maximum speed that they would be able to reach. So let me draw up my calculator. In the most ideal circumstances, which we will not be able to reach, I'm going to have a range of just 1.1 kilometer. That's fairly limited, actually. So I'm going to give another fuel tank and then increase the torpedo propellant, or the torpedo speed a bit. Here. One notch more. There we go. So now we're getting a different stat, which says 40 seconds times 46 meters per second is a range of 1800 meters. Still, it seems a little low. I don't quite like that. So I'm going to give it a regulator and yet another fuel tank. And yes, that will come at the expense of explosive radius, or, well, both high explosive damage and radius. But I just want to ensure that these things have substantially more range. Currently, we have a duration of 40 seconds, but a lifetime of 80. So I could ramp these things back down thrust-wise, and just ensure that I end up at about 80 there. 80 seconds. And now we're looking at a speed of 40 meters per second times 80 seconds in ideal circumstances is about a 3 kilometer range. So I'm hoping that that's going to be enough. I will inform the local weapon controller that it can only engage targets out to, 3 kilometer range. Okay, so that's the torpedoes done. The main gun, if you will. This one does not have a rangefinder on it. So, time to change that. I'm going to put that, let's say, here. I will probably at some point overhaul this whole turret, just to make sure that it works a little better, that it looks better, and that it performs better. But when I was designing this thing, I just didn't have the knowledge that I have right now. Largely thanks to you. Very largely thanks to you, because I played the game back in 2017, I think, but good lord. I felt rusty when I was playing this game. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Blocks, metal, block. Yeah, here. Okay, so now this one has its own rangefinder, and that hopefully will make these shells more accurate. Right, what else? Recoil decreasers on APS systems. That is going to allow me a little bit more stability, and hopefully with that, more accuracy. First though, I need to start changing out the clips for solid clips, because that's something else that was suggested. That's the other turret. Here. Yeah, this is the one. These clips that I was using are generally not great, because apparently they take up a lot of CPU space. Geez, am I using a 2x1 autoloader? Wow. What the hell was I thinking? See, I'm already improving. You. 1 meter shell rack? So why on earth am I using 2 meter autoloaders? Because these are... This is not 2 single autoloaders. This is... No. No. This simply won't do. This whole turret I can probably just toss off the ship. Alright. Well, you guys are getting a turret building exercise. Let's slow it all the way down. Go all the way to the front. And the whole turret disappears. Good. So, same plan. Put the whole weapon controller underneath the turret. Build a new 1-axis 3 meter turret block. And ensure that that is directly below the hull. Then, at the hull, build a metal beam. So that we get a 3x3 gap. Yeah, perfect. Alright. Now, what do we need here? First, some APS systems. I'm gonna go, and I'm not sure if this is a good way to do it, but this, at least in my head, made sense. I'm building one of these, and then sort of building a loop around them. If you mean, or if you understand what I'm trying to do. So, especially in the parts where they are at or near the deck, what I'm going to try and do is make a loop around it. So I'm going to use a gauge cooler. And then I'm going to have another gauge cooler. And this way, at least... Actually, do I... Hold on. I'm not sure if those single ones do anything. It's a cooler that allows to split around, sure. I do believe they work as a cooler, because otherwise I could just put 4 singles on, which wouldn't be that useful. So yeah, one here, one there, then a cooling unit, then another cooling unit. Now these things are all going to bitch and moan about the fact that they're not connected. So that's something that they will have to live with up until the point when I decide to attach the actual cannon piece. I can have another one here. Right, I can do the same thing here, but I'm going to do that with a couple of gauge increasers. So, corner, gauge increaser. Actually, this is all nice, but that means I'm going to have only one gun. Is that useful? Because the other one had 4 barrels over 2 guns. Ah, screw it. We can make this work. We can make this work. Now, underneath the deck, I have a whole lot more space. So I can make this thing actually significantly larger. And I believe the phrase that most people are using is you're playing Tetris. In my case, it's probably more going to be like Snake. Where I just have this turret thing go all over the place. So we're going to have another gauge increaser here. And then another... no, not like that. A couple of gauge increasers. I still want this to be a 1 meter turret. So that I can use smaller loaders. Probably auto loaders. Maybe belt fed, or some belt fed, so that I have a sort of a burst weapon. But I'm not sure yet. Alright, and now put the firing piece right here, and everything is going to get happy. Current gauge is 402 millimeters. That's pretty sizable. Let's go for 4 barrels, putting the gauge back at 161 millimeters. Alright. Barrels, no, mantlets first. A mantlet, that's not quite right. Then some barrels. Let's make this a large weapon system and a muzzle brake. Now then, what do we do with this turret? Because I want these to be punchy. So let's start with designing the shell. Back to the hull. Time to build the shell. Ammo customizer. I'm going to put that thing down here. 3 sections, and the head is going to be, what was it again? Shape charge. A couple of high explosive body mid shells. The firing type is what did I get? 162? 161. Fair enough. So this is what the hell are you doing? There, 161. We're going to need a 2-meter shell rack. That is too long. So we'll just have to customize this thing slightly shorter. Middle, high explosive, and a high explosive head. There. Range, 5 kilometers. Speed, 774 is decent, I think. But I'm not sure how much we can actually hit at 4,858 meters. Explosive damage, 1,052. Expected explosive radius, 8 meters. Yeah, until further order, I'm going to go with this shell. But, of course, feel free to give me further suggestions on how to build a shell for a 161mm gun. Right. Now that we know what sort of shell we have, we can start to build autoloaders for it. Please confirm for me that that fits. No, shit, it still needs a larger shell. Okay, we'll just have to go with 2-meter autoloaders then. Turret, hello? Here. Mirror mode. I want to see what happens if I put 5 of these things on. This is still very much stuff that I'm experimenting with. Is this efficient? Probably not. But live and learn. Yeah. That's the one that I'm using. Alright. So what are we getting? What are the stats? We have an autoloader limit of 25 rounds a minute. An ammo intake of 12.8. Cooling is fine. Barrel cooldown 364. So that's not too bad. I just need to ensure that I can take on ammo a hell of a lot faster than I currently am. Shouldn't be too hard. As all of these things still have a slot on the front. So load that. Update me. Whoa, where are we going? Oh, you're already engaging. Okay, well that's very enthusiastic. Not necessarily what I had in mind. Let's turn this thing off for now. No. Ceasefire. Go away. Okay, this thing won't fire until given the order. Cooling limit is fine. Autoloader definitely needs work. Fortunately, I have some room to put a whole lot more autoloaders on. And I can also put these shells on the side, but it's not so much the shell that needs loading. It's the autoloader that's currently causing the slowdown. Ammo intake. Hello? Here. Oh, crap, I put them up too high. Now there's probably still some room to attach another autoloader here to the side. That's an autoloader, not a clip. I know I can add more clips, but that's not my limiting factor here. The limiting factor is the amount of autoloaders. So we're going to build a nice ring of autoloaders here, followed by a ring of shells, which are going to have their ammo inputs on the top. It's costing a decent amount of, well, cash, supplies, but I think I can manage that. Alright, 61, 61, 65. So we can fire one shell every second. That's a 161mm shell. Decent. Decent, but we can do better. So, up the cooling. And this thing will probably need some form of recoil dampener, considering what I'm trying to put it through. Okay, we're currently looking at cooling of 71, 76, 89. So now I could pump out 1.5 shell per minute if my autoloaders can stick up, or can load fast enough, really. More autoloaders. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. The hell was that? Where's that monster? Is this the monster? No, that's the AA turret. Hello? Where's my... Did you delete my turret? I probably deleted my turret. Oh well. Let's try that again. Mirror mode on. Add some shell racks. Here, here, and... Whoops, not there. Here. And ensure that they have a loading system. Can also do that here. Although, what do we need? Ammo intake is currently bottlenecking. I wonder if this thing can still turn. It might not. At least not as much as I would like. No, that shall force assign. Status. Autoloader limit 92. Cooling limit 89. Alright. Now, cooling unit. Cooling limit 91. 94. 99. Excellent. Alright, now I want to see what I can do with this particular turret. So I'm going to put this to weapon slot 5. And the same for the APS piece. I'm going to have to take the other turret that I was test driving off of that control unit. So you're no longer group 5. And this turret block is no longer group 5 either. Now I casually jumped out of the bridge, but I had the game at slow, so I didn't lose too much. Okay. I wonder, is there something we can hit? Whoops! Yep, my own ship. Well played. Managed to hit my own ship, fortunately not doing that much damage. Let's see if this APS shell can actually reach the target. It does... yeah, it flies right over it, so yes, it can reach it. Now, with that in mind, I'm thinking that, considering the range and the potential offset of these shells, maybe having a timed fuse on here is not too bad. It's going to set the speed back a little bit more, but provided that I have a laser targeter on that turret, wrong turret, here, this one, provided I have a laser targeting on that turret, I'll be able to pretty effectively hit targets very far away. And this way they will still explode, at least if I understand it correctly, within a decent range of it. Now, my limit is about 90, so I'm going to set it to 90 rounds a minute. Rate of fire. ROF 90. Execute. Okay. Now we need to turn a little bit. Whoops, that was just fired my what is it, my shotgun. And yes, I still have something else to do. I still need to ensure that the ship doesn't list nearly as much as it does. Because this thing is really... Holy shit, we're going to fix that right now. Right. The rudder is up too high relative to the center of mass. Or sorry, too low. Not too high, too low. So, considering how deeply I stick into the water, I think it's fairly easy to fix. Just add a few rudders. To a point where we're actually pretty close to the center of the ship. I'm not sure if rudders like these work. I am rather hoping they will. I can cut this whole part off. And that part. Alright, can we turn a bit better now? Yes, there we go. Now I'm turning without breaking the bank. Or without rolling the ship. Excellent. You. I don't like you. Oh crap, I still have some of those old shells loaded. It is pretty busy here, by the way. Lots of stuff hanging around. Looks like a miss. Not too far, though. Alright, my dear turret. I'm going to force you, and this might come at the expense of some materials, to load the entire shell all over again. Just reload the whole clip. No shells loaded. Well, better get to it then. There we go. Now we have shells. 24. Alright, let's try this again. Target. Let's zoom in. That's definitely a Falkenheim. Shell out. Definitely not nearly as quickly as the other one was. Not necessarily a bad thing. Unfortunately, the Falkenheim doesn't quite seem to be where I want it to go in order for the shell to hit. Oh, actually, that came relatively close. Oh, that's the wrong weapon system. There we go. This thing is definitely not going to be a good shell to hit targets at 5 kilometers out. I probably won't be able to hit that at that range. Nevertheless, it's nice to be experimenting with this weapon system. Hit, 2,300 damage. Not too bad. Okay, so what happens if I decide to hand off control to the AI of that weapon system? Because they can have some serious fun with that. And probably be a hell of a lot more accurate than I am. So, maximum engagement range, yeah, I'm going to go with 4K, 4 kilometers. And I will tell you to go to channel 1. Here we go. Boom. Fired once. Done. Okay. Is that it? The hell is that? Flying fish. Alright. Not my problem. So, I guess that whatever I'm targeting is farther than 4 kilometers away. Which kind of lines up as those shells were starting to lose speed already. Alright, time to finish up this turret. I still need to get some detection components on here. Let's go with a large armored rangefinder, which is going to be connected to the AI. Of course it is. Wireless receiver. Oh. Hold on, with the other one I could just put it on top of it. Are you some sort of special brand? Might be. See, this one has a block. This one does not. Okay. In that case, it's 40 armor, 2700 health. That's a substantial amount of health. Fine. We'll just go with an intermittent block connector. And then put the... Go away. Then put the rangefinder on it. And then put the AI on it. There we go. Does not have enough processing capability. Of course you don't. Anyway, I first need to build some stuff on the deck. Just to ensure that I have something that resembles a casemate. Which for this turret, I think is only 2 blocks tall. See guys, I am learning. I am trying to do better. And again, I'm trying to pay as much attention to your suggestions as possible. Just bear with me, yeah? Because there is a lot to unpack. And especially considering for this episode, what I was planning on doing was something entirely different. Because what I was planning on doing was working on several decoy systems. So we'll just, I don't know. We'll have to do that some other time. Otherwise these episodes are going to run really, really long. Which I'm sure you guys don't mind, but at some point my voice goes, yeah, you've been more than enough of a chatterbox lately. Time to shut up. And then I'm going to add one more. Well, no, that's probably good enough. Give me control over 5. Look at that. It looks a bit like it's wearing a weird hat. Which I suppose it kind of is, but overall, not too bad. Okay, what else do we need to do? Build the barbettes better, yes. Reduce the rate of fire to get a more steady burst instead of shotgun mode, yes. Both guns heat shell, that's no longer useful. Oh right, recoil. Yes, recoil systems. This is the other gun. And considering how much room I have, I should be able to add some recoil systems to ensure that it doesn't whack the whole ship off course when I start shooting it. Let's just add a couple of recoil systems here. There we go. I'm hoping that that's enough. I don't exactly know, but I think with 4... hold on. If I understand this correctly, I should be able to just go 11,475, which is what those recoil absorbers can have, divided by 385, which means I can fire 29 shells before before it becomes a problem. That's 29 shells with a firing rate of 700 rounds a minute. We might need something slightly larger. Slightly larger indeed. 21,000. I'm hoping it's still willing to turn. 30,000. Okay, so that's about double. Let's hope that that's enough. But this is something that I would really like your guys' input on. How many recoil systems should I be looking for? What is decent? What is... Well, I hate to use the word, or hesitate to use the word normal, but what is acceptable for this type of weapon? Is that me controlling it or somebody else? It's usually not a great situation if you have to ask your viewers what the hell your guns are doing. Recoil, 1286. Yeah, okay. So we get 756 recoil per second, for which we can absorb only 593. We're going to need substantially more when it comes to these recoil dampeners. I suppose I cannot just put them on a turret or on a loading system. No, they need to be connected to the gauge increasers. Okay. That's tricky. Do we need this cooling vent? Suppose I do to some extent. Although no, actually cooling is 107. Now cooling is 104. Now I'm generating... Oh no, actually we're getting quite close. It's not too bad. Recoil is 1073 is what we're generating for absorption. And we're generating 1756 for actual recoil. Currently 1553. So if this works as I hope it does, then the recoil is not that bad. It's not going to entirely rock the whole ship. The same thing, I'm afraid, cannot be said for that other turret. Yeah, that one. The Seawiz one. Because... No, actually, I have enough absorption. I have too much absorption, so I can fire this thing indefinitely without any kind of issues. Nice. Oh, I am losing a ton of power. Hold on. This is something else that was warned. I deleted, apparently, in the previous episode, an RTG or two. So I'm not generating anywhere near enough power. And I think that is starting to show. There we go. Now we're generating power again. And something else I deleted was repair bots. That's a bunch of them. What are you doing here? I guess I had a weapon here at some point. Yes, over here you can help repair the turret when it inevitably gets damaged. And I would like to have something similar over here, where we do have some of them, but I can always use more. Right, quite the episode. Built a whole turret system. Seriously redesigned the other one. The Seawiz flak thing on the back. It can double against both ground targets and air targets, although it'll probably do a lot better against air targets. Anyway, I'm going to call it here. And in the next episode, I will start working on some other systems. So that's going to be decoys, and I'm going to record this episode already, right as I'm finishing this one. So unfortunately, any suggestions that you put on here are not immediately going to make it into the next one, because I want to get this other episode done as well. So by all means, suggest stuff that I can change, suggest stuff that I can improve, and I will try to implement as many of those as I can. I also hope to show you a bit more conflict than what I'm currently showing. So in the next episode, decoy system. After that, we're going to war. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your suggestions, and I'll see you soon for more From the Depths.